So this is the question we probably get asked the most at WeLoveHeatPumps.com. It's the question everybody wants to know, and that's how much is a heat pump going to cost? Now, this video is primarily about installation costs of a heat pump, so getting the heat pump into your house. If you're looking for a video on running costs of a heat pump, we are going to be doing one. We will bring that to you soon. I also encourage you to go to our website, www.WeLoveHeatPumps.com, and you'll find lots of information there about running a heat pump. But this is primarily about installing a heat pump, getting it to work in your house effectively. There are two costs to consider. Now, the first is what I call the basic installation cost. So buying the heat pump, getting the heat pump into your house and getting it working. And there's the secondary costs, which I call the secondary costs, which are changes you may need to do to your house to get the heat pump to work in the most effective way possible. And we're going to look at both of those in turn. Let's look at the basic installation costs. There are three factors to consider. Factor one is the size of your home. Do you have a big house? Do you have a small house? Do you have high ceilings? Do you have low ceilings? It's no surprise that the bigger house you have, the bigger the heat pump you're going to need. So that's factor one you're going to need to consider. Factor two is going to be the heating requirements of your household. Do you have a large family? Are you taking a lot of baths and showers? Do you do a lot of cooking? All of those things are going to feed into the cost of heating your house in totality. You might be in a couple, you might be living on your own, you might be retired, you might be working during the day, or you might be at home during the day. And all of those things you really need to consider when assessing the cost of installation. And the third factor is the type of heat pump you're going to want to use. Now, most people in the UK go for what we call an air-to-water heat pump, which heats the hot water in your house. That water is then used to heat radiators or underfloor heating and or showers, baths, that kind of thing. But some people decide to go for what we call an air-to-air system, and that's actually much more common in America and in continental Europe. And a system like that, that's going to heat the hot air inside your home, but you're still going to need another solution to heat your hot water. And we can jump into some numbers now. An air-to-water system is definitely the most expensive system to install. So to put that in some context, an air-to-air system in the UK is likely going to cost you somewhere between £1,500 to £3,500, and that's covering everything. That's covering buying the air source heat pump, installing the air source heat pump, follow up, all of that sort of package. It's going to fall somewhere in between the £1,500 to £3,500 range. If you're going for an air-to-water system, it is going to cost you quite a bit more. And we like to say somewhere between £5,000 and £12,000, depending on those three factors. Again, that is for installation and labour. But air-to-water systems are quite a bit more expensive because they just do a lot more and there's just a lot more moving parts in them. So far so good, but as we know, things are never that simple. Normally, with any kind of installation in an older house, and when I say older, I don't necessarily mean Victorian, it could just be 10, 20, 30 years old, there will be some degree of upgrades you'll need to make to your house to get your heat pump to work effectively. First thing you're going to need to look at is your radiators. Now, heat pumps are designed to work at a much lower flow temperature than a gas boiler. A gas boiler typically works at around 75 degrees centigrade. A heat pump, the temperature of an air-to-water heat pump is typically around 40 to 50 degrees centigrade. So you have to get your radiators to output enough heat to keep your home nice and comfortable. Typically we do that with high output radiators, which are designed to work with heat pumps. And you may need to replace some of your existing radiators that work with your gas boiler to radiators that work with a heat pump. The second thing that you'll probably have to look at is the insulation inside your home. Because your heat pump is running at a much lower flow temperature, it's really, really important that you don't let too much of that heat escape through the home, through the windows, through the doors, and through that kind of thing. So you're going to have to look at the insulation inside your home and potentially upgrade it. Now these costs can add up quite a lot. Something that is very simple like loft insulation or just increasing the size of that might only be a few £100s. But if you're having to replace all your windows and doors, improve the insulation to your external walls, you could be talking tens of thousands of pounds. So it's really a big difference. Now what that means is that the cost of installation of a heat pump varies hugely. It's very difficult to give a sort of one size fits all figure. For a new build house that's all kind of ready to go, is all modern building standards, very energy efficient, you may only be talking about £5,000 to get a heat pump to work in that house. For a Victorian house that hasn't had much work done to it over the years, very poorly insulated, single glazing, single skin brick walls on the outside, you could be talking over £40,000 to get a heat pump to work. It sounds like a lot of money. We do have a lot more information on our website about this. There's a lot of deep dive about these specific issues, including whether your house is suitable for a heat pump and getting a heat pump to work in an older house. I do encourage you to go there, www.WeLoveHeatPumps.com, and we are going to be bringing you more videos about this in the future. And in the meantime, we'll see you on the next video.